So Bernard's our little NPC, and he keeps things running when we're not here, because it's a 24/7 railway.
That's right. That's right. I know. I've come here and I've literally ridden for like 3 hours filming both sides.
I have the benefit of being able to control the trains. Alright, let's see if I can keep the ferry here. Because we did find out it had a minute. So, we've got like 40 seconds if you want to hop on.
Hop on, sit here.
Yep.
Sit here. Perfect.
So this train leaves. Trains leave on the top of the minute, unless they arrived 30. This is the bit it leaves to spite me. Leaves at the top of the minute. So, yeah, it's doing it to spite me. I've tried.
So should I? So I should call you Zen, Zaney. Like which? What is?
Oh, Zen's fine.
Zen. Okay, good, perfect. That makes sense. I was like, how is it Zany Zen? Like I don't know. Zen. Yeah. Okay, that works.
I've heard the best when I was in Fallout 76 in the early days of the beta. Someone I heard in the best Spanish accent I've ever heard. Hello, Zany Zen.
It's always weird when you hear somebody say your name, because most of the time it's just like typed out. I've had some really interesting Fury renditions too, like.
I am not even going to attempt to try and pronounce it with my.
So how long have you been in Second Life?
15 years in June. This isn't, as the age-old young avatars say, this isn't my first Avi. My first Avi was 2010, and I found out it was crafted on my mother's birthday, so it seems I was bored on her birthday.
Oh.
And I decided after 2 years with a friend to start a shop called Zen Railway.
Yeah.
The name. And this was going to be the marketplace avatar, and I kind of took over. And very quickly discovered something about myself I hadn't realised, because, of course, the first Avi was male and very butch.
Right.
And muscly, and then I realised as soon as I became Zen that there was a part of me I had not really explored and felt very happier as female.
Yeah.
So that's how I found out I was trans.
Surprise!
It seems to be a thing. People will get a female Avi and then be like, oh, I'm happier.
So do you, and have you found that that helps you in real life too?
Yes, Zen's how I really get my female side and gender dysphoria in check. So it makes my head a bit easier.
Yeah.
I'm getting all out there.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how did you originally find out about Second Life? Somebody said, hey, you should come here and start a store?
I was a little bit too young to join, but so what happened, I think it was like 2007, Second Life was really popping off, and a BBC tech thing. I was in like the middle of Norfolk on holiday, and BBC had a tech program talking about how Second Life was the new boom town. Mm-hmm. So it's been in my mind from then, and when I turned around 17, I snuck in because my parents got me my own laptop.
Right.
And instantly searched railways.
Really? Oh, so you were into railways before. You've always been into railways.
Yes. It's been like the first thing. It was always something that I was like, I wonder if this place has railways. And Second Life was definitely a place with railways.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely, for sure. That's awesome. Oh, okay, cool. I think that's really interesting because a lot of times, I think sometimes our real life interests definitely leak over, but that's cool that 15 years of railways,
Oh yeah, definitely. I seem to remember one of the first defense was I can't remember his name. He was dressed like the guy from Beetlejuice.
Right.
And he had a Second Life Railroad group, and he organised a huge railway event where all the people would go down the SLR, and I've never seen anything since like that, and It was just perfect.
You should do one.
Or something like that.
You should do one.
I keep contemplating to boot it up again.
I think there'd be a lot of people that would do it, but Yeah, I love the Second Life Railway. Not as much as, yours, but I do. It is cool. It's very big and broad, right? Like, it goes all
I
over the
spent
place.
2 hours standing there waiting for a train at one point because I thought it was automated.
Oh, really? I've done
Yeah,
that before,
I was a newbie going, this has got to be automated.
Nope. Nope. Surprise. So is it the trains that keep you coming back?
Oh, as a cliche, as I've already heard on one of your former interviews, it is definitely the people. I've definitely always been involved with more people aspect. I'm not a social creature in real life. I'm actually quite agoraphobic.
Yeah,
so
me
I don't
too.
really leave the house.
Yeah.
And Second Life has allowed me to have a social life, and it's been really handy for keeping me sane like that.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that. I think that sometimes, I think sometimes people that don't understand Second Life may not like really understand that, how
Yeah,
that social virtual sort of connection through SL.
our avatars are like a hollow shell that we fill up with ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's very much the best way. Like the railway definitely got me into a lot more spotlight than I realised. I hate saying that I'm a Second Life celebrity. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm infamously evil, or something like that. But I definitely have run into a lot of people since 2020 when the interviews happened. And I ended up founding with a group of other railway owners a group called the Great Little Trains of Second Life.
Yeah.
And that's 100% ripped off from the Great Little Trains of Wales. Wales, don't come after me on that.
They probably wouldn't. They'd be like, "Oh, awesome."
But yeah, we have a common goal. We want to promote each other. We want everyone's railways to be seen as equal. As at one point, we literally were having people going between the founders' railways, me, Dizzy, Nim, Lily, and someone called Jane Zane. And Jane Zane was a huge player in Kito's stuff. She built some of the nicest trains he sells. And we got fed up with people just go between our railways, go, this person's done this better than you. I don't like you copying this person. And we really hated that.
Yeah.
Here's our ferry stop.
Oh, shoot. Okay, we'll get off here.
Yeah, but this is the bit the ferry's left. The ferry has left.
Oh, that's okay. We can chase it.
Yeah.
Would that help? Oh, I went the wrong way.
Yeah, the ferry, I noted it had 5 minutes, so it's most probably... Where are you? I currently can't fly. Oh, it is just there, so I'm going to try and get ahead of it. Yeah, I tried to time this correctly, and the ferry has left us.
That's okay. You can fix everything in post-edit. Or leave it in there as we run around.
Very much just leaving stuff in is perfect. I don't own it, so I can't see the little blue thing on the mini-map. Okay, where are you? It's bright pink. Shouldn't be able to miss it. Yeah, we tried to hold it, but it waits for 5 minutes. I have TP'd into the sea, and I think it's... Oh, there you are. If I can get on it... Alright. This is going to be...
Fast!
Yes! Alright, I am going to try and TP you before we... The plans of mice and men. Right. Oh god, this bug. I just froze up as soon as the Sims deload behind me.
No!
Alright, I'm back.
And now I just have to resin and then chase you down.
Yeah, the ferry is definitely one of the most automated bits.
Is it the pod?
It's a full-on pink ferry. If you cam onto me, you'll see a pink ferry.
Oh, there you are. No way. This is the most amazing ferry ever. Is this your ferry?
This is my ferry. Me and Amelia worked on this together back in 2021, and it's actually based on a real ferry. If you cam onto the back of the cab, you can see the real life version of her.
Let's see. I'm camming to the captain.
The back of the cab. So
Oh,
there's
okay.
like a picture blue tacked onto it,
Uh-huh.
and it's Amelia's real life counterpart. And I can never remember where it is in the world. It's in the UK, just in the south area, and I can never remember where it is. But yeah, it's a real ferry. This goes between here and Piri Peaks, or Pyri Peaks. I can never pronounce it.
This is crazy. I actually just started getting into these little playing with some automated train stuff myself. I've been playing with some like hot air balloons. So
Oh
this
god,
is
yeah.
this is really cool. This is really cool. I love your ferry. I love the pink ferry.
We wanted to have it connect up to oh god, another word I can't pronounce. Belly.
Belisarius? Yeah.
They and there's a sim called Red Hook that we was going to dock at, where the Belisarius Railway starts from,
Uh-huh.
and I thought it'd be railway to railway would be awesome, but Linden Labs won't open those sims up at the moment.
Why not?
It's an object entry issue, so we need like a little channel of access.
Hey, Lindens, you hear this? You hear this
We'll
right
keep
here?
poking.
Yeah, that's right. So, okay, man, we got super distracted here. So how long has your railway been around? Did you like come in and build it immediately?
So, first Avi came and went, and I started this Avi, and very quickly, me and my best friend Neff at the time, she was a lovely New Zealander who I met on the first Avi.
Mm-hmm.
She took me under my wing, under her wing, and we built a zeppelin just a little way from here. It was a kit from somewhere, but it was like a big res zeppelin, and I made it a steampunk thing, named it the Sunrise, and it had a little I built a little narrow gauge railway in it, what went between the two floors, and that was the gauge that started the ZZR, and that's where the Pink Lady, what the loco was just behind, started life as. She was going to be a sculpted loco for that railway, and then Neff had to let go of the land, and I met someone, and he was very passionate about what I built, and he was like, I'm going to give you a shop. So I got a shop, and went to Brighton to ride the Volks. Went to Brighton, and the Volks is like one of the first electric railways in the UK. And I got so inspired, I restarted my little railway around the shop, and the Pink Lady then quickly got rebuilt, started being rebuilt.
Yeah.
And then I built 2 trams, and that was the shop railway. And then 2014, I started getting a little burnt out with trying to sell stuff. Like, I wasn't keen, and I'm still not keen on selling stuff.
Yep.
And then 2015 happened, and I spent 2 weeks at the start trying to find a plot that had about 2 sims of abandoned land and a road crossing, so I could have that level crossing at the start, because I knew if I had a level crossing, people would naturally discover the railway. And found Sundari, that little triangle plot, and it all started from there in March 2015. And then April, what's next month, is our 10th anniversary of the first 3 sims being completed.
Wow. That's cool. So how many square meters is it total? Do you know?
Oh, I've written down cliff notes, so I'm prepared.
What? I'm sorry, that was and guys, this is how prepared Zen is, because this is not a question that I sent. Like this, Zen's ready to go.
So it's 13,504 square meters, but
Wow.
as it sounds like a lot, like as soon as people hear that, they're like, you have so much land. And I have to note, that's stretched across 4 regions.
Yep.
We occupy 4 regions, and every sim has like a very small amount, and we're always juggling prims. It's why we try and say to people, don't res your own trains. We've got an automated service.
Yep.
If you want to live life risky, walk it.
Yeah.
But we will send trains after you.
Yep.
I 100% have contemplated putting damage on the railway.
Yeah.
And making it that if a train hits you, it's insta-death.
Yep.
So that's stretched, and it's around about £40 a month, because I've got this Avi, what's Premium Plus, and then the Alt, that's Premium. And then I got really lucky with a friend called Isuf,
Mm-hmm.
who in 2001 we met, and she became incredibly, the British term, mucking in, and got really involved with the railway. And in 2022, she introduced me to my now partner Firefly, or who I
Aw.
call Soph,
Yeah.
and we've been together for 3 years now. Very long distance relationship, but we're making it work. And then in October 2022, she was like, "Finding you your life partner is not enough. I'm going to give you 124 square meters." And so before, we didn't have that little works area in Sundari, and then she donated, and then I got the premium Avi, and we made Symphonos. I'm not sure about the saying because it's a Welsh word,
Yeah.
but it's named after her in a very subtle way. And that was always a very important thing I had always wanted, was a works area, because I like to show off what's being worked on. I like every loco on the railway to be somewhere if it's not in use, because I change over every month.
Mm-hmm.
So if a carriage is not in use or a wagon, you'll see it somewhere on the railway, and it's all automated, because that was a nuisance, because I did it for 4 years. I would manually, oh, this carriage is in service, I'll de-res that and res out another one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you scripted all this?
So this is where Dizzy and Amelia come in. So 2015, I had only got like the default Second Life Railroad scripting, the automated scripting, and I had modified it so it could do a little tighter turn. And then I got to meet Dizzy, and she's such a sweetheart. She put up for me quite a bit. I found her double fairly, what is Festinio Welsh loco. It's like two locos stuck together,
Mm-hmm.
end to end,
Mm-hmm.
and they're a very unique loco. And I found hers when looking at pictures on Flickr, and as soon as I saw it, I messaged her and sent a friend request. What I've never done in my life. I've just sent a friend request. I was like, "I love your trains." And after 30 minutes of her realizing I wasn't going to stalk her or cut her head off, she accepted the friend request. And then late 2015, we got talking about doing a passing loop. And a passing loop, again, I like to be as realistic as possible. So I didn't like the idea if I had two trains, they would slam into each other and go back and merge through. So we had
Right.
a passing loop, so one train could pass the other going up and down, and it increased the frequency. And then again, we got talking, and she and her family, Janet and Nightshade, scripted up ZZR 2.0, what is seen now, where carriages, because before we just had trams,
Yeah.
and a steam loco stuck together with a carriage, so it rotated in a really weird way. It took people out all the time. If you was on a corner, the carriage would be overhanging the rails and just whack you off. And then Amelia, in 2018, I got to know Amelia, and she's become like one of my closest friends in Second Life. We're always talking, and she took on like a small project in 2019, the maps.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I say small. She managed to make these tracking maps for the railway with just textures. So it's a sliding texture instead of a dot. So the maps are one land impact.
Wow.
And then 2020, I was like, I want to redo the passenger carriage. And she was like, okay, I can try and do you some comfortable seats. Well, I asked her. And it ended up she took on the whole passenger carriage. I would do the prim models, because I build prim to mesh. So anything you've ever seen was started as a prim, usually if it's got me as the creator.
Cool.
And
Prim building is really hard.
it's a challenge, but I love it. It's a perfectionist downfall, because the thing I use ends up putting tiny little gaps, and I spend about an hour trying to get rid of those tiny little gaps.
So you build it all out in prims and then you convert it into mesh.
Yeah, it's what's
Super
it called?
Smart.
Is that a new boy? That is a new boy. We almost hit a boy that I didn't know existed.
Oh.
A buoy for American viewers.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, but so she saw my prim models, and before I could convert them, she took them into Blender, and she meshed them up and refined them. So the
Wow.
passenger carriage was the biggest collaboration between me and her, the biggest thing we had ever done.
Cool.
And we found out we worked really well, so that she started scripting a lot of other stuff. And this ferry is her scripting baby. Like, we reached out to a former guest of yours, Yvonne,
I
who
love
was
her. She's so
she is she is so awesome. She actually invited me to visit her, and I chickened out at one point because I was in the same area as her at one
Oh,
stage.
really? Yeah, she's
Yeah,
so nice. She's the best.
and she was going to help us script the ferry because, of course, wanted moving steering wheel, moving rudder,
Mm-hmm.
and Amelia was like, "I'm just going to experiment with this rubber duck you sent me." And so at one point there was just a rubber duck going between here and Piri Peak, between the railway and Piri Peaks, a pink rubber duck that you could sit on. And she took on the ferry, and so it's been able to be linked perfectly into our systems. So every 40 minutes, the ferry shows up. So it's alternating. So there's two trains, one train, no ferry, next train, ferry. So it's a nice alternated service. This is 40 minutes there and back, and then the train is a 20-minute round trip.
I love that you do it as automated because I think it's cool that sometimes you can res stuff, but I love the fact that even if you don't know how to res, it will show up. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. The issue I always had with Bring Your Own, our self-drive, I did want the ZR to be my own driven thing, so I would have drivers. But quickly I realised I need an automated service because I can't be awake 24/7.
That's right.
And it was only going to be a temporary thing, and then the automated service became everything.
Yep.
Because you can do so much. You can do lovely little cargo things. Like, we've got crates that get picked up at one station
I
and
know.
dropped off. Mail sacks. I keep always forgetting about the mail. I'm always sitting at a station and I'll see a mail sack and I was like, oh yeah, we did that.
Yep. I remember when I was doing my, last year right before the SLV Creator Awards, I decided that I was just going to film on your train. And like I said, I rode back and forth so I could get these different angles and I wanted all these different shots. And when you'd sit at the stations, sometimes if you watch local chat, different things will happen at different times. And it was really cool.
We even have token machines now. That's another. I like to try and soundscape the whole thing. So you got the little dings from the token machines, the signal. It's always been something I aimed for, and I just love that when someone visits, that they can see something new every time.
Right. Exactly. Let's see.
So, and I absolutely adored that film you did, by the way. that was one of the first things when I saw it, I instantly sent it to my parents because I knew it was a great show off of how lovely the railway's become over the years.
It was so funny because when I showed up, that song really did come on, like, immediately, and I was like, "Oh, this is perfect! Like, this is the one I'm gonna use." So it really did happen like that.
It was perfect. It was just a perfect little film. It gets what I always come on Second Life, and if I've had a day, it's just nice to sit on the train, go up and down.
Yep. Well, you do such a really good job of building for sight lines out the windows. Like you.
Oh, I got really lucky with the neighbours. I always have to try and say I got so lucky with the neighbours. Like,
really?
yeah, so 2015 to 2020, we were surrounded by abandoned land. And then this lovely Welshman called Rory showed up. And he had just come out of a breakup, so he was a bit heartached.
Yeah.
And he founded a little cottage in the north. Hang on, never eat shredded wheat. Northeast. Northeast of Sigio, the Sigio sim.
Mm-hmm.
And he started expanding out and he got across the tracks. And he was like, he got all his friends. I never can announce it. Georgina Rowley, Zoe, Foodie Boo. Foodie Boo is the best last name ever, I'm just saying. And a lot more others, like Ernst. Oh god, his last name's a pain to say. It's all these people he got so excited to get involved, and suddenly Sigioshire happened in like the course of 2 years. It exploded.
Oh,
And there's
wow.
now no abandoned land around the railway.
Well, that was what I was going to ask is do you think that the railway has kind of helped, the real estate in the area kind of step it up a little bit?
I try not. I really don't like praising myself, so I try and push the praise onto others. And then, of course, them being usually British or someone else, they push the praise back. So we have a
Right.
tennis game of praise.
Right. Okay. Okay.
And but it happened like in real life. A railway will happen, and any town that has just had that railway will expand round the trains.
Yeah.
And we just got so lucky with how perfect storm of all these people coming in. Cuthbert, who now owns the town centre, Rory sadly has left Second Life. He pops up every so often, but he's reduced. He's like the honorary mayor of Seagoshire.
Yeah.
And Zoe, Georgina, and Cuthbert and Maria. Maria owns Claydon Manor, what is scarily a house that is near me in real life. So I know quite, and it's just amazing to see she's recreated this real life house
Cool.
in Second Life. And everyone took over the land, and it's just still flourishing. Like, Cuthbert is a massive steam nut. He's the, I can't say vicar because he's got a specific name and he tells me off when I call him a vicar. I'm going to call him a clergyman, and he gets inspiration from a guy called Teddy Boston, who was a real life clergyman who built a narrow gauge steam railway in his back garden of the church house. And Cuthbert takes so much inspiration from that guy.
Cool.
And he built all the churches around Seagoshire and that. So I got so lucky with the neighbours. I can't not praise the people behind Seagoshire as much as I can praise myself.
No, I know exactly what you mean because, I have this one weird mountain in mainland that I just love to play around with, and the neighbors that are right around there are all really, really good. Mainland really comes together if you get good neighbors. But I think,
Very much so.
I think protecting stuff like your railway too, everybody wants to be next to the cool railway. So
He got very lucky. For a very long time, she had wanted to live by the railway or have a property, and she'd been eyeing up a plot that was owned by, I won't talk about it because it was a fairly abusive relationship with me and her. So but I finally bit the bullet in 2024, and set a distance between me and her, and he snapped up that plot as quickly as possible and has turned it into like the final brick of the law of the railway. So narrow gauge railways always were industrial and then passenger. And so the story of the ZZR is the law that I was meant to write a big book on the law of the railway at some point, and I forgot.
Well, now you've been reminded. No pressure.
He's taken it on, and so it's now her problem.
Oh.
But she was like, I want to build something that contributes to the railway. So there's like a little works, and we say that there was a slate quarry beside the railway, and there's an old slate hoist that would have taken wagons out of the quarry, and it's added the final brick so we can say this is where the slate quarry used to be, and this is where trains would originally have terminated or taken stuff down to the sea. So we got so lucky with that, and yeah, mainland is just awesome. Will not be surprised what creative people can do when they get together with even people that they don't get along with that well, but they want to work.
Yep. Yeah, I think for the most, I don't know, I'm going to say this and now curse myself with a terrible neighbor, but I think a lot of us we just try to figure out how to make it work, and try to be collaborative at least. So
I definitely know terrible neighbours. Every time when it was abandoned, I'd see a auction come up, and I would be so worried that I would get a terrible neighbour.
Yeah, because you can only take on so much tier, you're.
Yeah.
I've got a lot. I can't take on any more.
Oh, I'm always tempted to. I always try and work out if I can have a little more.
Yep. I know exactly what you mean. I was telling somebody the other day, I think in some ways, I think mainland is a little bit more dangerous than Linden homes or private regions, because you're like, oh, but this is just like a little bit more. It'll be fine, you know?
It's a box of chocolates.
It is.
The mainland is a box of chocolates. You convince yourself that 10 chocolates is fine.
Yep.
And then 20 chocolates in, you're like, another 10 will be fine. And then the box of chocolates is gone and you own a sim.
Yep. Yep. And weigh 400 pounds. And, you know.
Tends to be, chocolates are evil. My mother will tell me that.
I don't know. I love chocolates. I'm a big fan. So let's see. Okay, so you've done a lot of building with railways and stuff. So I bet if I were to ask you, if you had this, I ask everybody this question. So I love to see if any of them cross or if there's like a new thing I haven't thought about. If you had a magic wand that you could just like wave and it would just automatically change one thing about Second Life, what would it be?
See, that is the hardest question, because I accept a lot of Second Life's flaws, and I know
love that.
Like, I like having a challenge of doing stuff that I know isn't usually possible in Second Life. Like, I didn't know till I met Amelia and we got the ferry that we could get the ferry not to leave Little Coveston if the Sims were restarting, because we hopped onto the Second Life grid,
right.
And we have a script that checks if there's rolling restarts happening.
Right.
And I didn't know that was possible. The only thing I will always say, and I know this is always talked about, seamless sim crossings. I think those would be the best thing ever to happen to Second Life, and if I could, I would want that to happen. Because you always get that one crossing that is absolutely perfect. You feel like you've sneezed and blacked out and you missed the bit where you'd ended up in someone else's house for 5 seconds.
Yep. Yeah.
So seamless crossings always would be the best thing.
You know, but I find that if I ride trains and pods that are kind of like not vehicles, I don't have that problem as much.
I think it's calculation of the physics. So pods, trains, and this ferry, no physics are involved. So it's just a little, I call it a breadcrumb trail because I'm picturing the ferry going num 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 as it goes along. So it's no physics. So it's just trying to calculate an object crossing. So yeah, trains we don't have many issues with the railway having to reset unless someone logs in at the wrong time. And the sim gets a little laggy as the train crosses in.
Yeah, I never noticed an issue with it. So is this a physical object that we're on now?
This is just a
regular.
It's
object.
not physical. It's just a regular object sliding along the water, trying to look like it's sailing.
Cool.
I try not to think of it that way because it just ruins the illusion. It's happily floating. It will never sink.
That's right. It's happily floating. I want to get that picture. There it is on the ferry of the actual pink ferry.
Yeah, so her real life counterpart's called Claire, and if I remember correctly, she's a ferry that will always be moving between these stops, and has a hull so it can push onto sandbanks.
Oh, cool!
And so people can step on and off. It's a very lovely little ferry. And I would love to ride it one day because it is bright pink in real life.
Man, this has been such a great ride.
Yeah, it's such a nice compliment to the railway that we have the ferry and then we have the railway, so you can go from seeing this lovely Welsh community seeing the whole area of the sea, because this is all brand new sea in Second Life standards. Because 2019 came and they did Belisarius and suddenly all this sea was made.
Yep.
I went from void sea to this sea and told a few people who had rentals along it going, hey, guess what? Your value just went up.
It is so true. Like, I literally comb this coast that faces anywhere on Linden homes all the time. Like, anybody that's got land there has got a good investment because that is the way. Because of the water is great, but your view is good too, you know?
Oh yeah, I was so lucky. So as soon as it happened, I got talking to one of the guys, and it's the port that this ferry goes through on one of the sims, I rent off life properties, and I got so lucky. I went to him, your property value just went up. And then we got talking about renting because I wanted to keep a seaport, sea access. So I started renting off him. And
Cool.
it's been one of the best things I ever did because it's a cheap rent
Yep.
and the ferry gets access to the sea still.
Yep. That's awesome. I think when you find good real estate renter people, it's important to know, because like
Yeah.
every time I think we all kind of like find some that we cycle through, and I just bought one of my Bay City parcels in rollers from a real estate person.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's always good when you can kind of like make payments as you go, right? So
I definitely do plan on buying it off him. We've talked about it recently actually, because at some point it's going to be, if I get sick and I can't come in, that rental property someone has to start paying that rental, and if I haven't told someone, it's gone. So rent's always a good thing if you don't have the tier, I find.
For sure. That is really true. Do you think so I guess that's another thing too. Somebody was when they did that Lindenholm land impact increase that happened fairly recently, somebody was saying, do you think that's going to affect the mainland? But I think you've just brought up another good point, because I've been on the fence, like, I don't know, yes it will, no it won't, but you're right, like, just there's some things that it's mainland only, like you can't do it unless it's on the mainland.
I think that, so I don't try and think of it always, but I always try and think of a company's perspective, and I think that was a good move for them to try and get people, because the bonus of people going to Belisarius, well, majority will just go to that house, change, and go to somewhere else.
Yep.
A lot of others will start driving and exploring, and one day they'll go to Red Hook and see an ocean, and want to go further, and they'll discover this mainland just below them. So I'm all for people wanting to go to Belisarius, because it will bring people this way. I disliked the original Linden homes where they were their private islands, because it was like, why not just let people accept Second Life is a mainland mainly, and then private sims everywhere else?
Yep. I think the mainland's good too. Philip I was talking to him the other day actually, and he was talking about, did you know originally Second Life they never had private islands? Like it was all one continuous thing.
I 100% have watched that podcast.
Oh, have you?
A couple times, yeah. I've even sent it to my mother because she was like, watch the first 5 minutes. I was like, that's really interesting. So she's even watched through it. Yeah, it was so lovely hearing his perspective, and it was nice I always like hearing creators ramble about little tiny things that they notice.
Yeah, for sure. I sent him the big box of podcast landmarks because I was like, you should, not podcast landmarks, but pod landmarks. I'm going to send him your landmark too so he can go ride your train. He will love that.
He's been posting constantly, and I'm always like, should I mention? And then like, no, don't self-promote. Don't be that person.
Oh, well, I'll promote for you. But he really is nice like that. You really can just send him something and go, you'll like this, go look at it. And he really will. So, which is kind of strange because it didn't used to be like that. What else should we talk about? Is there any other thing that you want to have, in the podcast?
Well, I was going to mention about the other stuff, so I'm not completely train crazy. Like, I am train crazy. But, I've done a few the last few years. Well, I love the route. I do love it. I have got a little burnt out, so I started doing a couple of personal projects. And one was like making a little Land Rover Series 1 mod on a Lush Motors Scout. So it's actually a combination of a Scout and a Land Rover body. So it was something I had never seen done before, where someone took someone else's car and changed it into a different car. And Owen, the creator of it, was super supportive.
Oh, good.
But as I had mentioned previously, I do get into a little bit of the adult stuff of Second Life. But one of my favourite things, that the adult side, there's this group called the Pony Caravan, and they do caravans across the mainland.
I
in
have a
huge
friend
groups.
that is in the pony caravan that lives right by me. I'm not kidding. I really do.
It's so awesome. Like the last one had about 150 people almost riding in it,
Whoa.
and you just feel sorry. Just picturing the parcel owners sitting by their land, and suddenly clip clop, as this whole caravan goes through. It's one of the best things that I've seen in this community, because they want to really promote the mainland. I think we'll be able to hop on the train in a bit. We're just about to come in.
Is this your pink boat? Of course this
Yeah,
is.
so
Yeah, of
this
course
is
it
my
is.
port,
Yeah.
so it's got a bit of self-advertising on it. But yeah, this is the little port I bought up, rent, and this is very much a key piece of the ZZR ferry system. Although my partner to the left of us owns that plot. We had a rental guy approach me and go, "Do you want this land?" Because
Yes.
I was going to sell it, and then I go, "I don't, but I know this person who does." And I messaged Firefly going, "It's the exact amount of of square meters you was asking for. It's a little more expensive, but you could have a water plot." And she now has her own little harbour there.
Wow. What a killer
Which,
area, though. Like, look at this spot of mainland. Who
yeah,
would not want to live right here?
we've got rent, so I have to, what's it called? Not flog. Flog's not the word. Um, I got that advertised, so we'll hop off here quickly, so
Okay.
we can run to the. Oh no, we've got time till the train shows up. So the train comes after the ferry arrives, but on this sim and a few others, Georgina has rental properties, so anyone can rent in Sea. I really wanted that to be a thing, that rentals were possible in Sea, so people who don't have the tier or can't afford to suddenly, mind out, the letterbox is lethal just there.
Oh, okay.
It will shoot you.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite little things I made was just this evil letterbox that shoots letters.
Did it go the right way?
Other stairs.
No, other stairs.
It is a maze.
No, it's good. It gives you places to wander. This is one of my favorite stations. The first one is my favorite, though.
This one was based very roughly on a station in Whitby, where it has a big arch, and as soon as you get to the arch, you look through, and you've got like a framed view of the town of Whitby.
Cool.
But yeah, there's rentals here, and I always will push people towards them to make sure that if they really want to live in a mainland community, it's possible to live here.
Do they have available rentals? Are they always open, or usually pretty filled?
There's usually a couple open, because Georgina's always making new rentals, little houses about. So she's a busy bee, that one.
Cool. I'm the same way, so that's awesome. I love little mainland communities, so this is cool that this one's here. And I think, too, one of my favorite things about Second Life is the movement, especially on mainland, with, like, trains moving and birds and leaves and all of that stuff. So I can see why this one would spring up for sure.
Yeah, the kinetics of Second Life, movement always makes an area.
It does.
If we would love at one point, we're going to try, hopefully, and have a bus service, but we just need to get all the ducks in a row so a bus service can happen. So it'd be nice, just so it gives people a different way to explore this area.
Yeah, a bus service would be so cool.
As you can see, if there's like a board behind you, the next train port, that's where we have all the information of where these trains end up going. Just a little brown board that sticks, don't run into your, just here above my head. So at a couple stations, this will even state if the train you've hopped on is a ferry train.
Cool. You guys have
and of course
everything.
We have the announcements.
I love the announcements.
So many have gone, "Is that your voice?" And I'm like, no. That is Google.
Thank you, Google.
Yeah, that's a Google API that Amelia's set up so we can generate our own announcements without having. We do have a voice actor. The World War Two, no, what? The World War One tracks, trenches, trains have a voice actor, Cronston, who
Cranston
voice.
Yordstorm?
Yeah, he is
Yeah!
the voice actor for those announcements, and he sounds so British. Like he managed to nail the British accent perfectly.
I have to go back and listen to it now, knowing that it's him, because I've done an interview of him before. He is so funny. He's such a nice guy.
He gets again mucked in, and just it's nice to see his railways. So
Yeah, yeah.
I have
Oh, is
friends
he
who
in your
say they
group?
don't like his. Yeah, he's a railway owner.
Oh, cool.
We have friends. I have friends who are very perfectionist, and they'll be like, "Why do you like those?" And I'm like, "It's creative." Dizzy made some kits a few years back, and I have advertised them because they're like the grandchild of the ZZR because they're based on the ZZR code. And she made these kits, and ever since, people have just been building some of the weirdest and nicest layouts out there. And Cronston makes some of the most creative ones. I'm most probably pronouncing his name wrong, aren't I? Cranston.
I think that's right. Yeah.
He makes some of the most creative layouts I've ever seen in Second Life, where they go around trees, and I just always love it.
Yeah, I've been on his railway that he has in his redwood forest.
Oh yes,
You know,
that's
that goes
one of
like
his
way
first.
up those huge trees, and like it's pretty cool though. Like, I mean, he did a good job. So
As a cheese lover, I love his cheese railway. He's got a cheddar caves railway, and I've always been like, I love that someone did cheddar cheese caves.
yep, the Cranston Cheddar Work Railway. I think it's really cool that your railway community supports each other. I think that a lot of other communities could kind of learn from how you guys support each other that way. That's good. That's good that you guys do
We
that.
try. I never liked the idea of being competitive because when it comes to this, competitiveness in Second Life is always, have you got enough money to do what you want?
Right.
And I've always run on a very tight budget, and the railway is a very tight budgeted operation. And I don't want people to look at my railway and they don't have the £40 a month to fund such a thing. So I want people. I can't remember the sim, but I came across one that is in a tiny little triangle by the Second Life Railroad. That is a Dizzy kit, and it's like this. You would see a eccentric British person would buy a tiny plot of land and put as tight of curves in this plot of land, and it's perfect because it is such a small plot that encompasses this railway.
Should we hop in?
Yep, you're first, and then you can actually lean out of these windows if you ever wanted to live life dangerously.
How do you do that?
So if you click the belt beneath the window, it will open it. I never automated this bit because I thought it was fun to be able to open and close the windows naturally. So there's like a belt, and that lowers the window down into the door. And then you click MISC, and you hit window, I think. It's been a while. MISC. Yeah, MISC and then window.
Amazing!
You are...
This is awesome!
So yeah, this came from a friend of mine, and she was like, I would love as a wolf to lean out the window. It's like, everyone should be able to lean out the window, so we made it so you can lean out the windows. And in Mouse Look, it's like the best thing. You should have your head taken off, I will know.
Okay, that's okay. Good thing I'm an avatar.
Yes.
It'll work out good. That is awesome. I'm going to come back through and do some footage, and I'll grab one of those for sure. This is...
Yeah,
you thought of everything.
We try and make it as realistic. This is as I want to be as close to a real-life heritage railway as possible, because my father is the reason I'm into this. Like, as soon as I was born, this sounds wrong. As soon as I was born, he started volunteering at the local narrow gauge railway. But when my mum wasn't able to look after me, I would go with him to the narrow gauge railway, and I get this lovely behind-the-scenes perspective, because heritage railways always feel like a very secretive behind-the-scenes thing where all the magic happens. And I loved at one stage we had to change the batteries in the radios for the locos so they could communicate. And we got to go into the engine sheds where you get to see all these sleeping beasts waiting to be steamed up.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those moments in my life where I was like, I love trains.
And that was it. That was it. You were addicted then.
I'm so addicted. Like, narrow gauge is such a nice concept. It works so well in Second Life because you got the tight corners. You don't have to have much land. You can do a lot. And Disney stuff's mod, so you'll find people who have just gone out of their way to make their own locos. One of the people, the Pony Caravan people, have a sim called Tall Tales, and next to Tall Tales is the Stoat Island Railroad. And the people who run that have literally created their own locos and carriages because they hadn't made any American versions, Dizzy, because Dizzy's like me, she's British. If you couldn't tell from the accent, Dizzy's British, so she and her partner Nightshade tend to specialise in European stuff. But they saw this opportunity to make some American stuff, and so they made it, and that really is something that these kits have given people the ability to do, to make what they want.
Without all of the scripting knowledge.
Yeah, because when I started, I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
I was just happy enough to have something running up and down automated.
Yeah.
But I wish I had a kit to get me started. Like Blueberry a long time ago was like saying about full perm clothing. That's how she got started.
Yep.
And I look at the kits as being that, your foundation to improve yourself and keep getting better.
Yep. Yeah, this is kind of like a building block. I'm not a mesher for sure, but I've definitely used kits and things like that. And I think they teach you a lot about Second Life and how it works too.
I will always say, if you want to try going, it is an expensive kit, the system, the mesh generator, but it is one of the most powerful tools I've ever used in Second Life, and it's what everything, if it's got my name as a creator, except this character, this is Leah, but the guards van, the locos, it will usually be, it started once as prims, and it's the best way to create because you can sit with someone in Second Life and they can see what you're doing. I never could get behind Blender or Maya because it was like, I'm in another screen and people will be talking to me and I'll have to switch back and forth.
Yes. I just tell everybody that, like, I probably won't talk to you because I probably am not looking at my local chat. Like, I think I even have it in my profile. It's not personal. I'm probably filming, or building or something else.
Well, because I'm agoraphobic, I try and say that I have the social battery of a lemon.
Well, you don't at all. You're very pleasant. You're not lemon-like in any way.
Oh, here comes the good. So, Sandy she was one of the first mesh diesels I made, and she's always been on the goods train unless it's an anniversary gala. What is happening next month?
Really?
Where we'll have, next month is the 10th anniversary. I still can't believe it.
Wow.
And for the entirety of the month, we're going to be running hopefully weekly events, and hopefully around the 21st, when the celebration of this station, the completion, this was originally the last station, we're going to have a big party. But we'll see, because it's just getting everything worked out at the moment.
21st of April?
Yeah, we're aiming around that day. I will, as you know, we have the ZZR website. Well, again,
yeah.
Amelia is just, at one point, she was like, I think we should do a website. And she looked up and saw that the ZanyZenRailway.com was available. And 5 minutes later, it was like, you've got a website now. Let's start building.
Surprise! That's good, though. That's good that you have such a good community that's behind it. But I use your website pretty regularly.
I do try to update as much as possible, especially with behind-the-scenes stuff to make it like an exclusive blog. So people do look at it and see stuff they wouldn't see on other socials.
I bet your mom loves that too. That's cool that she can kind of see what you're doing and, you can kind of share that with her. Yeah,
my mum and dad have always been interested in it. Like, they're of the generation where they can see how this is interesting and why I'm into it so much, but they won't pop in.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
maybe thankful for certain things I do.
Yeah.
But they've always been very interested. They know because of my dad and mum, they do like trains. Mum not as much as me and dad,
Yeah.
but mum's always liked going on the little narrow gauge railway. I try not to say the name because it is my hometown, and I will 100% dox myself.
No, I will make sure that if you say it, I'll cut it out. You just let me know.
But yeah, that little railway has been like a big part of our family, and even now, if I go there, some of the volunteers still remember Dad. He's become quite. He's got Parkinson. He's got medicine-induced Parkinson's,
Oh wow.
and he's had ME for most of my life.
Yeah.
And he can't volunteer there anymore because he can't go out as much, but they still ask about him. The older volunteers, they'll always be like, oh, you know him, how's he doing? They've always been like the older ones have always been very close friends, and they still help out taking us, because we lost the car in 2014.
Yeah.
They take us to places we need to go if there's medical stuff. It's really handy of them.
Cool.
You can't get that kind of community many places, and this little railway in this little town has fostered a tiny little friendly community around it. I feel sorry for so there's a lovely woman, I can't pronounce the name. I call her PP because her first and last name is P and P.
No.
And it's just the easiest, and she owns most of the land around here, and she's put some lovely houses. She loves the railway, so she's landscaped really nicely. But our house has become, in the law, is now in the bottom of a quarry.
Oh.
So we haven't told her yet. So if she watches this, she may find out she is law in a quarry suddenly.
Oh.
But she has remodeled the quarry. It's a lovely quarry. But yeah, that's E's little project. She did such a lovely job. I did landscape it for her, but she was always really wanting to live there, and it just turned out better than I ever expected it would. This is all Petrella and someone I can never pronounce the name. And then just up past this house is Cuthbert, and Cuthbert owns most of Seagyoshire.
Cool.
Well, the town of Seagyo, not Seagyoshire. God. I try and keep track of who owns what, and I always find that someone else has moved in suddenly.
I wonder if most people know that they're moving in next year. I bet you, like, 'cause I would be like watching. I'm going to be watching this area like a hawk. Like, what about mine? You know.
One stage in the early days, someone bought a plot on an auction, and she put band lines up as soon as she moved in.
No.
And moved up in the sky. Thankfully, it was like an air gap between the railway and her plot, so you didn't see him from the train.
Yeah.
But a friend of mine TP'd up to their build platform, the house, and went, "Hey, you know band lines don't work above a certain level."
Yeah.
And I was like, "No," and it's like, "Yeah, how do you think I'm here?"
Yep.
And she said, "Oh, well, could you remove them because there's a railway down below?" And they went, "There's a railway running through my land," and tried to return the railway.
Oh.
It was like, how could you buy land without knowing there was something there?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, especially a very obvious railway, but well, they got lucky, so you know.
Yeah, they got very lucky, and they did end up enjoying the railway when they finally looked at the ground. So, in the end, people can move in and not realise there is something here.
Yeah. And this is the last station, right?
Yeah, would you like to see the works quickly? It's
Yeah.
across the way. This is... I will phase through walls. I made... thankfully, all the walls on that carriage is phantom, so if you lag out, you can just walk straight through them.
Perfect.
So yeah, the works is just across the road here. So the signal box is actually quite an important piece of the railway just here. So this sends stuff to our servers so we can monitor the railway when I'm not even logged in.
This is the brain.
Yeah, so this maintains a lot of stuff. And then across here is Synchronous Works, where we store other wagons, the coaches, vehicles, and our permanent way train. Because after 10 years of events, so we do events nearly every year, not every month, and I want to decorate in a method that's fun. So we have a train that I can manually drive from inside the cab up and down the
Cool.
railway.
Cool. So you can kind of like if you want to do like a real thing where you're happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we 100%, me and E and Leah will all role play out the point, setting the points and driving it out, and it just has made it a process where it doesn't feel like I'm always doing it now. It's
Yeah.
a nice process to decorate the railway, change over seasons because we try and remain seasonal. So we have autumn and winter, and of course the Santa specials are the suddenly snow shows up at one sim, and that's the only sim it shows up on.
Oh, I haven't seen the snow yet. I'll have to come up here in the winter. I haven't done
Oh yeah,
Christmas on
we
the railway.
between Angdang Station and the cutting at Gory, I can't ever pronounce it, the little Coveston sim, there is snow usually
Mm-hmm.
for the winter time, and that we jokingly say it's because Santa needs a soft place to land his sleigh,
It's true.
because we'll give away free gifts on the Christmas period, because it's something little heritage railways have done here for years, Santa specials, where you ride on a train and you end up at a station where Santa is, you sit on his lap, you get a gift. And I've always wanted to try and replicate that here. We give
Yeah.
we give back to the passengers because at the end of the day, as God, this is the most cheesy thing because I always say it at the end of a celebration of 1,000 visitors. A railway is nothing without its passengers. So I always try and thank people for coming by doing the Christmas gifts and that.
Well, you bless us with the train, but yeah, I agree with you. It is always nice to say thanks to everybody who's coming. I hope this video gets more people to come. I noticed that you have the little things in the stations that tell you how many people came through that day, and you'd already had 5 people today.
Oh yeah, we every so often I will check every day, and I'm like, how are still people not getting bored of this? Because I'm always scared.
No.
So many people want to change their routes and make it new, and I've always been focused on trying to make this route as best it can. So I'm always worried that people be like, "You're the same route. Why should I come?" Like this is the newest bit. This is our works building, and this if I'm building something like I am at the moment in one of these rooms is the work in progress. We will keep our work in progress just here to show off what we're working on. And this
Oh,
is the new
cool.
loco under construction, Ilios, named after Leah. So Leah has a ferry and she'll have this loco named after her. So when they meet, it'll be Amelia Ilios. But I always found quite funny.
These textures are awesome.
I got very lucky with. I waited for PBR to come in because PBR does brass so nicely.
Yeah. Oh man, that's gonna look good.
And then you've got E's current little project because she's trying to replicate locos from the Laxey mine, where the first steam engine that was a automated service here was from.
Mm-hmm.
She's currently building a little battery loco called Wasp, and it's her first ever locomotive from scratch because the first time she was restoring what I did, and
Cool.
then this time it's her first one from scratch, and she's very performance scared about it.
Oh.
But I keep telling her it looks awesome, and she doesn't believe me.
Well, it looks awesome.
See, 2 people.
And you're right. The shine on the brass. I noticed the brass first actually, but the shine on the actual train is really cool too. PBR, man. I just
It definitely added like it's perfect for locos because the paintwork on locos are usually polished to a
yeah,
shine,
yeah.
and you can see so much reflections. Like that isn't a PBR texture at the moment. I have not found one I'm happy with. It's just environment and spec.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah, so I
that's
upped the
okay.
environment a little more than I would, and it's made it very reflective.
Yeah, well, and it looks pretty different than the black. I guess this is the part that holds the coal.
The
So,
front is the smoke box, and this is where so there's oh god, I'm going to talk about our locos. So I might be wrong. I don't. So the firebox is in the cab, and
Mhm.
there's tubes that go through a tank full of water, and there's loads of tubes, and then the tubes end up there, and then there's a steam blast pipe that pushes steam out the chimney
Mhm.
to create a draft to make it hotter in the boiler.
Mhm.
So that's where all the ash and soot goes and sparks, and there's you open it out to clean out the tubes and stuff.
Cool.
But yeah, that's where all the important fire stuff goes.
Cool.
And the things on the side are sanders. The big oval thing around it is the water tank, because this is a saddle tank logo or something. A tank logo. So all the water's above the wheels to create more traction. And there will be a little tender on the back. So she's going to be the first ever narrow gauge loco I've seen. So I'm always trying to be first at a lot of stuff. If
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, I want to make it so others can make it better. So it will have a little wagon behind it that will be linked to the loco and
Mhm.
should move as its own entity behind it.
Cool.
So,
This
yeah.
is neat that you can come over here and look and see what you're working on too. That's awesome. Awesome. Well, I've got to go soon. But I know we're a little bit over because I only said I'd keep you for an hour. But is there any other final things you want to add here? And
Especially just about next month, I want people to know that it's a big thing, because I
yeah, yeah,
still can't
yeah,
believe it's 10 years.
yeah, for sure.
Never can believe.
That's amazing. Gosh, 10 years. That's amazing. But and that's one of my favorite things about Second Life, right? Because who can say that? 10 years. That's awesome. But okay, so what I will do is I will go ahead and put the edit together, and then I'll send it to you first so you can listen to it, just in case, like, you did accidentally say like something that you don't want to have in there. You can tell me and I can take it out before we go public.
Yeah,
So
sounds good.
so yeah, I imagine I'll probably have it to you before Friday, but just, so just be on the lookout.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, whenabouts was you thinking of putting out? Because I'll 100% be putting out a post.
I'm thinking I will probably have I'll start working on the edit tonight and tomorrow. So I'll pass it back to you maybe Thursday or Friday, and
Yeah,
then
that'd be perfect.
and it'll just be unlisted. Like nobody will be. You can send it to anybody else or whatever, but you'll be the only person with the link. And then if you're like, yeah, it's good to go, we'll make it public. Or if you're like, no, 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 wait, this part at this timestamp, take that out. I'll take it out.
Yeah, that works for me.
Cool.
I have the anguish of hearing my own voice though still.
Yeah, I know that for sure. So yeah, absolutely, I get it. But you did great. People are gonna love this one. So I'm really excited about doing this edit.
It's been 5 years since the second life. I keep forgetting it's been 5 years since those the made in Second Life videos and that, and I always send them to people and they're like, "Hang on, this looks so empty. I thought this was yesterday."
Yeah, yeah. Well, now you can upgrade and they can see all your pretty new textures.
Very much so.
Cool.
Perfect.
Awesome. We'll see you later.
Take care.
Okay. All right. Bye.